Hello and welcome to the show, and of course a Merry Christmas to all of you watching. As is tradition here at FailRace, it is time for, well, a cat to do a very good loaf. I was on my way to filming and she was just, it was an impressive loaf. Nevertheless, it is that time of year where I build a scalextric track in my spare room, which is in the process of being decorated, so do ignore the mess ever so slightly. But this was the biggest space I had that I could chuck some track down. And a very big thank you to the kind people at Scalextric who sent me a couple of new cars. What kind of Christmas presents for the cats, really? So we have got Dagon immediately interested. Naturally, as soon as they hear, they remember the sounds of these cars going around the track, and they know that it's going to be a fun afternoon for them to be chasing. I hadn't driven for a while and immediately crashed my Brabham. Not the cleverest manoeuvre. Haven't quite taught the cats yet to go and rescue stricken cars, unfortunately. I do need to work on that one. Having recovered the F1 car, Eve came to investigate, naturally. I also built a tunnel had a box, thought it would be fun to include on the circuit, and see what the cats made of that one this time around. And yeah, we're going to try and, see what they got up to. Cass, naturally, even Cass wants to come and investigate and see what's going on with this one. Dagon wants to chase. Can't quite decide how to chase in this one. Eve has her own tactics of getting in the way of things, which is, fairly standard operating procedure for her. She was sniffing around the track, and so I'd been a bit careful. Didn't know quite where she was going to sniff. Just wants to get in the way of the camera, basically. That's what's going on here. Dagon is still thinking about it. It's the kind of spinning around on the spot from Dagon. She's good at that one. Cass was being brave. Cass likes, he's normally a very shy cat, but he likes the Scalextric cars very much. He then did proceed to be a little bit odd and just made himself a bridge. Because why not? Just stand across. Normally they are very unsure when a car drives underneath them, but Cass just didn't really care. It was just kind of stood there. Dagon goes for a little chase, not a big chase at the moment, and then she becomes a track blockage. Cass does finally decide to move. They've got the, I don't know what it is that they do, but I think all of my cats do it to a point, Eve a bit less, like the head twitching when they're excitedly chasing and following a car. There we go, from Cass. Cass is the most pronounced with it. Dagon does it a fair bit too. Dagon wanting to chase. Kind of curious to chase. Not quite going for it in this one. Eve decided to find the awkward spot to go and sit, because of course she would. Ended up parking it in front of Dagon, who proceeded to investigate it slightly by sniffing, and then the lightest of boops, just tap it, just tap the car along on that one. As you do, it's just very gentle. It's very, very gentle. With that, actually, that one I pinged the car off the track and it came to a stop by her. And we're going to just have little investigates of the car. It's surprisingly well behaved from her, but I had to go and recover the car, get it back on the track. Cass was investigating the box. Look, it's a box. You put a box near some cats, and they're going to be curious about it. Cass is not a small cat. He does not really fit inside the box. Probably could if he really wanted to, but was happy to just have a sniff. Much more interested in the car, that is for sure. Got the head tilt going on. Doesn't quite know what to do with his paw. Eve is in an awkward spot down there. She's picked the narrowest bit that she could lay in and run the risk of, blocking the track, essentially. It's the Eve way. Cass is back to the old head tilt and not quite going to go for the chasing of the car. He's interested in it, not quite going to go for the chase of it. And if I park it in the tunnel, they then get confused. Cass thinks about going into the box, decides better of it. Not quite worth that one. Dagon's investigating the other cars in this. Cass has found. No, there we go. Those where it is won't quite go into the box to go and get it. Dagon's it's the very much that I want to chase this, but I'm not quite sure if I should be. If I can, Cass is enjoying the tunnel, if you will. Dagon's also thankfully Dagon is a small cat, so has found a small can fit themselves in the small spot over there. It's still trying to get the optimum. The optimum hunting place to chase the little car. Not very careful with her tail, and that becomes quite prevalent. Is not very careful with her tail. Eve is just, well, being a chunky loaf over there. And I think it was this one where she'd actually managed to derail the car. She's managed. She just wasn't fazed by the car going right next to her at all. Down there, didn't care, and it was eventually going to cause problems. Cass had come over to say hello, but yeah, she had managed to nudge the car slightly. So there we go. Eve with the first track blockage. Not the normal way she blocks the track. That was more just not quite realising she's a bit too big for that particular space. Wasn't the biggest, track blockage that could be, but there we go. So Eve, moved on her own in the end. Cass went to go and have a sniff. Got to have the Cass sniff of approval, which he does with pretty much anything that comes into the house. It's got to go and sniff it. Got to go and investigate it. I was trying to get him to chase it around the place. It was curious. I then managed to bin it on my own because I wasn't very smart. That one, that's obvious. This Brabham is very fast, I have to say. Of the scalextric cars that I have, the Brabham is very quick. Eve found a new spot, didn't stay up there too long. She liked her general overview. The other new car that I was sent, the Rover SD1, a very, very cool vehicle, this one. One of the loudest cars I've heard in real life. The real life version, I've seen it at Goodwood a few times. It's so loud. Very cool. Very, very cool car. Staggeringly loud. Either way, it's a bit bigger a target going around this circuit than the tiny Brabham. So the hope was it would encourage them to chase it a little bit more. So we set off with this one. Eve is curious and immediately Eve wants to go on the chase. Unfortunately, in doing so, managed to... That's not quite so much spook Cass. Cass went to run away and Cass knocked the car off the track. So... Cass gets a takedown, even if it was accidental and nothing to really do with the car. Dagon's just come to sniff some of the circuit and generally find new places to go and sit down. Yes, she was coming to investigate. Hello, Dagon. So the car would get replaced back on the circuit, almost wipes out Dagon's tail, and Eve is finding new ways. That was a very effective way of stopping a car. In fact, it is as... Cass just wanders through shot as you do. In fact, if anything, that was the most effective stop of a car. It is just one paw put down in front of it at the last second. Very well done for the Eve. However, she wasn't going to stop there. Although we were back to the age-old tactic. She has figured this one out quite well. Dagon a little bit spooked, but yeah, if you lay across the track, you can stop the car in this one. Cass, jumped across the car. I'm not going to say it was a full bridge, but it was a fairly good bridge. We went underneath Cass, just about. And Dagon's learning as well. You just lay down on the track, and the cars will kind of stop. They will very slowly move their way towards you in the hope that you might move. But now we're just going to have a standoff with a Rover. Nope, Dagon didn't want to move. She liked her spot laying across the track while the car is there. And we're going to lightly boop. Just very lightly. Now we will move. The track has been cleared, and off goes the Rover on this one. Again, Dagon tries to chase it a little bit. She's not quite as... When Eve is convinced to chase, Eve goes for it. Dagon's still a little bit more reserved. Cass enjoys watching the cars, just isn't quite convinced to chase it. Exactly, we're just going to do... Nope, we're going to run away. Cass was actually more likely to run out of the room than actually chase the car. He's just kind of, would just run about the house, which can't really film. He's having fun. He was having fun. Continued to drive the Rover around, and Eve was being encouraged to go and chase the car. Eve gets takedown number 2. Fairly efficient. It was a fairly efficient takedown from her. Yep, that is a Rover having been derailed. We can nudge that one, just try to nudge it back into place straightforwardly. Didn't quite get that. Not quite as effective as the first takedown from Eve, but did the job nevertheless. We are in kind of in attack mode from Eve as the car comes around. Went for it. That's the tunnel, Eve. You've missed the car. We're going for the sneak attack. Sneak attack towards the tunnel from her. They found their different places. They like to observe and try and do their hunting. She was just going to have a bit of a standoff. I wasn't sure if she was in the way of the track or not down there. I then had zoomed the camera in too much to miss the Eve pouncing, and it was takedown number 3 for Eve. She was definitely going for it with with the Rover. Cass has come to have a little investigate, but yes, she likes chasing the Rover. That was her favourite one. As we was past, we're going for another one, and it's a big takedown. It was a very effective swipe. Just like nonchalantly walks away. So as he takes the car out off the circuit, and that's that. Yep, that was fully off the circuit. It was quite an impressive swipe from her. That wasn't just waiting to batter it as it went past. So yeah, the Rover was popular. Dagon's methods continued to be slightly less spectacular, I think it is safe to say, of just put pause on track and the car will stop, and then if car gets too close, we just lightly just very, very, very lightly nudge it, and that was that. So we could go back. We have got the Dagon out of the way. The car appearing from the tunnel activates the Eve, who was investigating behind said tunnel. I did wonder whether she was going to dive into the tunnel at some points to go for that one. But then, no. I mean, it was a takedown. It was admittedly more driver error. I didn't quite stop the car where I thought it was in the tunnel. Didn't quite get it stopped where I wanted to. And it was more me crashing into Eve on that one. Thankfully, at very low speed, of course. But we would continue going on. Cass has seen enough and went for a run. Dagon goes for a full for a full pounce this time and does get her first takedown of the day with another little boop at the end of it. But don't think it was a really intentional takedown so much from Dagon as was kind of jumping about and happened to land on the track where the car was. Cass was back with the we're going to tilt the head around quite a lot and not quite go for it. Dagon was also joining in with the head tilting. Dagon's new favourite method, though, was using the tail to block the track. It could just about, a little bit of careful, gentle nudging from the car would do the job, getting past that one. But I managed to get some oversteer, of course, with the Rover. We can just nudge that back, get that one back into place. Like it's full pounce mode from Dagon. She was very much the kind of spin around in the circle in the middle. She's learned. Cass, again, wanted to get Cass to go and chase it around the track, but he's more of the sort of, I say, sit and watch. He enjoys this one, just watching them go around. Eve has had her chasing for the moment. She's gone to just sort of sit in the corner and relax a bit. I was trying to kind of goad them into investigating the tunnel at this point, because the cars would vanish outside, and they make a different sound going through the tunnel on that one. You could kind of get their attention. Cass then decided he was going to be a roadblock. I mean, you made a good bridge earlier, but that's now you've just blocked the track. Well, thankfully, that track blockage could move relatively easily. He would jump out of the way. Dagon is back to her ways of blocking the track, and just about gets out of the way in time. Still chasing it through the tunnel. Cass has decided he's off and gone for a run again. He's more running away from the car. From Cass. Eve's just now observing. She's had her hunts. She has been very successful, to be fair, in that one. She was a successful hunter of a Rover SD1. Not a sentence I thought I would be saying. Let's be honest. However, very true. Dagon less successful. Got one takedown. Also driver error. I don't actually quite know how I managed to flip the car on that one. It was relatively low speed. But, yeah. Of course, in true FailRace fashion, not only are there scalextric cars, something had to end up upside down. It didn't bounce off the wall or anything like that, and it just flicked around and ended up on its roof. Typically, I didn't have the camera quite pointing the right way, and then everybody came over to investigate and have a sniff of the upside down Rover. Not my smartest. Cass found a new vantage point. This is from the stairs. He could kind of look through the door and watch, and not have to deal with the rest of them. So he liked sort of sitting up on the stairs. And while I was filming that, there was a thump sound from the spare room. So I went to go and quickly went to go investigate. Didn't quite have time to actually film them getting into it, but. Dagon ran into the tunnel, and Eve tried to follow her, and Eve then changed her mind. There you go. There's the Dagon. I knew they were going to use it. There was a reason why I put the box down there. So I hoped they were going to use it. So with them now being much more, I say, engaged with the cars, I put the Brabham back out, and it turns out that the Brabham is pretty good at, I say, staying on the circuit. Eve had a hard time trying to hunt this one. I guess because the car is quite small, it's got a much smaller surface area than that of the Rover. It was considerably more difficult for Eve to be knocking off the circuit. Also, I think this one might have a more powerful magnet. As I said, it's very fast around this track, and I think the the magnet is a part of that, which makes it tougher for Eve to knock it off the circuit. She is full zoomies. Dagon doesn't really quite know what to do. He's just watching, maybe learning. We will see the Eve hunting method for the Brabham, but it hadn't worked. Eve done a bunch of passes trying to knock the Brabham off the circuit, and no real luck. She was around and kind of jumping about, but no luck in displacing the F1 car. We hide it in the tunnel. Dagon will go to kind of investigate. It's not quite got the same charge across the room to catch the car. Cass was sat on the stairs most of the time watching this. Wasn't quite as interested in chasing after the Brabham at this stage. I think Cass had his fun and was just content to. I mean, he's an older cat. I don't actually know how old he is. Like 8, 9, something like that. I don't know. I don't even remember exactly. But he's had his fun, and he was now just content to go and observe, whereas Dagon decided that the best idea was to go into the tunnel. I did wonder whether anybody would. Part of the reason I built I had the tunnel here, and I would stop the car in it was to get them curious, and I was glad to see that, yep, I did a little bit of moving around to get the camera into here. There we go. Dagon's just gone and found the car. In the tunnel, hello. Yep, you look, I say, kind of comfy in there. She actually went to try and lie down in this space. It's not quite big enough for her, though. I mean, that is... that is... I probably should have put the cat blockage. I mean, I admittedly did stop the car of my own volition in the tunnel, rather than her being there initially. But yeah, she did fill the tunnel, and then Eve was just having an observation. There we go. We can put on the light as well. But... yeah, the Brabham proved to be a real challenge for them, and despite Eve took a number of sort of swipes at this one. Dagon less keen on the sort of takedown, was interested, fascinated by it. Eve tried everything, did finally get the takedown. But it was a lot of effort to try and get the Brabham off the circuit on that one, and initially the car had survived. Like she had. Sort of batted at it, and it had remained on the circuit. But yeah, she knows what she's doing. It took some effort, took some doing. Definitely a more resilient one. This is the new measure of a scalextric car: is how well does it stay on the track when being hunted by Eve. She was really determined to get this one, and still the Brabham survived. I felt sure it was going to come off the track at that point. Then she's now having a clean. This is quick distract from the fact it was an unsuccessful hunt. I'm definitely being nonchalant in the corner. Dagon had a go. There was a light. Dagon is so gentle for what is a. I'm not going to say chaos. Chaos cat is a good way. She can be a menace. She is so gentle with the cars, and likes to use her tail to block the track as well. Again, you can push past that with very gentle encouragement with the cars, but yeah. I presume she just forgets the tail there. Eve's trying again. Actually got her paw in front of the car, but did not derail it. Did not knock it off the circuit. As I said, the Brabham is seriously resistant. I think of all of the cars I've got overall, I mean, you could say it's stacked up in the background, of all the cars I have, I think this is the most resistant I've had to cat attacks. They really cannot do much. Cass then returned and decided to hide behind the box, which I thought was quite amusing. It was of course, typically, the second I started filming on this one, he was like ducking behind it and peering over it, and then as soon as I start filming, he then sat up. It was quite funny, just the eyes appearing over the top of the box. But you know, you never quite get them. You never quite get them doing what you want. It's just how it goes. That's how it goes working with pets. Dagon then tried. It's just, yeah, like Dagon is just very gentle in comparison to Eve. Eve was then back to full speed attack, bounced on the road in front of the car, but that wasn't enough, and then crashed into the box. There was commitment. There was commitment there from Eve. Cass saw the energy going on from Eve and decided he didn't want any part of that. It's just we'll let Eve do her thing, and then I managed to do that one on my own. Yeah, a little bit too much speed into the very tight hairpin, and off went the car. Now, I did try, another thing with this. We got Dagon's favourite toy, which admittedly I had lost for a great period of time. I eventually found it under the fridge. She will be very happy to see this toy again. I think since after filming this, like the next day, pretty sure that toy's lost again. She likes it a lot, carries it around, and it gets hidden. Either way, I thought I'd stick it on the back of a car. Eve fell over. It's been a tiring day, all right? I needed to go and use a car with a big wing. I normally use the Aston Martin for this because the clearance on the wing is just right to hold the toy on it. Eve just wanted to lie down. So yeah, I figured we'd take the toy around and see if that could entice Dagon to go and bat at it. Eve has fallen over and had a roll. I mean, we've had upside-down cars and we've got an upside-down cat. It feels fitting. It feels fitting, really, for a FailRace video. The Dagon tail is, across the track. The Aston Martin got a bit too much oversteer through turn one. Yeah, it's a little bit too much. A little bit too much for the car through there. This is another relatively quick car. This one, quite a powerful magnet on it. She's once more again. Should probably have the track. Got the knack of getting Dagon out of the way. She didn't really sit across the track fully, but it was very much just use the tail. That one there, she didn't even bother. Wasn't even caring about the tail getting knocked aside. Eve had found her corner. Eve had a busy day. Eve was tired. She had hunted many a car, not quite as many a hunt against the Aston Martin. The Rover still her favourite prey, and then I flicked the car too far sideways in all of this one. It happens, and then Dagon wanted to come and say hello. Naturally, had to go for a little bit of a sniff, and, well, I mean, the toy is on the top of the car, so she was going to do the very, very gentle bop. It's just the most gentle of taps. She didn't even bother trying to get the toy off the car. There we go. She was content. And there you have it. The cats, they like their new scalextric cars. They do always enjoy. Eve had a great time. But yeah, Rover is her new favourite prey, it would seem. And she did a very good job at hunting it. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas, a fantastic holidays. From all of us here, and from the very silly cats, goodbye.